Now, back to this here for a second. Okay, I'm going to take this nut off of here. And that washer goodie. You know, this washer here. And see, before, like I said, I didn't have a new one of these. Nobody told me about this at the store. Well, if you're going to put it this way, you've got to use one of these. You've got to get one. If you can't get it with this, and if they don't sell them separate, go and try to find a gasket. Here's a gasket and washer seal. And then I found another gasket in another one that I picked up at the store too. And that's how I found the gasket. Like I was saying, you know, if I only use this, I don't necessarily have to use this gasket, right? But I could use this. So sometimes when you go to the store, you really have to think about what it is you need to get. Don't just zero in on one way, because sometimes I'll go to the store thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to do it, and I look and oh shoot, they don't have that, and then I tone out, like, okay, I can't do it. I guess I have to go to another store and try to find the part. Okay, I can't find the part there, I can't do it. You got to start thinking, how else can I do it? You know what I mean? You may do it slightly different than you were planning on doing the first way. But you see, I was, because I didn't have this, I tried to put this old one on. And now you see I just ripped that all up. You know, I can't rip this with my hand. That's how stiff this is. All right? And I tried putting that back in, but because it was wet, it was sitting in there, and my nut was just sliding on there, it was grabbing, and it wasn't really doing anything. It was too pliable to keep this tight and to pull this tree in tight enough to get the seal here. You know what I mean? That's why on most toilets you don't even really see this. Okay? And what I'm thinking, just because this was on here from before, I don't have to do it this way. You know, the more I thought about this, it was like, I don't have to do it that way. You know, I'm still questioning whether or not I can get this nut tight enough with my channel locks, and I'm here all by myself. I may have to take two hands, really crank down on it, but I don't want to mess up the edge of this rubber here either. You know, if you saw the video that I did about taking this off, I had a heck of a time taking the old nut off. I had to actually cut the rim off of this rubber gasket to get it off, and that was okay because that's where it was leaking. You know, but I can't very well do that to put it on, now can I? How else are we going to fix that if we don't use this type of rubber gasket? Do you know how? I'm going to take this off, and we'll figure out if there is, in fact, another way to do that. Now see, this is already starting to form that little pucker at the top. Do you see that little bit of pucker there? That wasn't there before. When you suck in the bolt, see how it creates that pucker? Well, this pucker here is right at the tip. You see that? And so there was hardly anything between that and the head of the nut of the bolt. Where? Right here. Let's see if I can get it in there. You see, it was pushing down like that. And I was almost at the end. That's why, because I tightened this down way too tight. Because I thought that's where the leak was coming from, or that would help fix the leak. My loss, again, is your gain. So that's why if I end up using this type of assembly down here, you know, I'll probably need to use the new one. I just learned a valuable lesson there. And you don't have to go through that because you watched my video. Hey, how cool is that? Or did I do that on purpose for your benefit? You'll never know, will you? Okay, let's talk. I went to the store and got some other parts. Let's talk about this, shall we? I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to take, okay, I bought this at the store. Now, yours might not come with the rubber gasket here. If it doesn't, you can buy a separate gasket. Or if you buy this whole little tree, you can buy it just like this with the nut, the gasket, and the flapper. Or it might not come with anything. Okay? I'm going to take that off. It might just come with this white goodie, right? Without the flapper at all. Let's get the flapper out of the way, so we're just talking about this, okay? Boom. You could buy that at the store. Okay? So now you got to get the rubber gasket. This was the culprit that's making this leak internally, the tank. Okay? So you put that on. Now, is there different sizes of this? There might be, but they're all pretty much standard. Okay, go to the store and look at it, and if it's not this one, they'll have something there. Talk to a salesperson there or something. Okay? So now, hey, looky here. Here's the old one, here's the new one. Look familiar? Okay, now what I might end up having to do is I might end up cutting this one here the same length as this other one, or maybe I won't. We'll just have to see, right? Okay. Now I looked at this old one and the threads just looked a little suspect right up in here. I mean, this could be 20 years old, 15, 20 years old. All right, so like I say, I got the new one and I've decided I'm going to use the new one. Didn't really cost very much money. Okay, you got that like that. And then you take the nut and you tighten the nut down. Now can you see when I tighten that nut, I can take my channel locks, instead of sideways or at an angle, I can put them right here and get a good grab on there, like that. You see what I mean? I can grab that right like that and get that fully. And I'm going to make that snug as a bug in a rug. Okay, and I can do it that way. I don't need this gasket, do I? So far, so good? Now this is the standard setup for most toilets nowadays. Now maybe they had this because 15 years ago, this was just how they did it. You know, but when you go to replace these, you don't have to do it that way. Okay? But it doesn't have this rubber gasket. What to do with that? Well, here's this thing here. This was the gasket and the washer. Okay? Now they say you can put that washer on like that, and you can put the gasket like that. Okay? Now you can seat that, and then you've got 3 bolts that are going to bolt this down to the tank or to the bowl, and then that's going to create the seal around there. Okay? Pretty much like this, only different, right? That seems to me kind of slightly hokey, only because you got this nut here, and see the nut has the flat washer built into it. You see that? And that washer needs to go up tight there. So when you put this gasket on there, you're only hitting the edge of that washer. Now some nuts nowadays are fatter. They almost look like about that fat on both sides. So if you can imagine having that on there, I don't want to confuse you, there's only one nut. And you can put this on there. And then you can put that on like that. Okay? That's how the gasket and washer work. Okay, there's one idea for you. What else can we come up with? Let's talk about this old one again for a minute. You see this rubber gasket around here? This was the old one. So if you think you can get by with just replacing that, okay, you can get a new one and just install it right here. Okay, and put that back in there, cinch it up just like I did there, and you can do that. My experience though, working with these toilets, if you've got to replace this rubber gasket, you might as well replace the bottom one too, because it's probably time for that one as well, and they really don't cost that much. You want to keep all that stuff in mind. I went to the store, flush valve seal. I looked at that first, and I thought, hey, maybe I can use that as a washer for here. I can't do that because this is rubber. This will not work. This is for another type of application. So just because you go to the store doesn't mean all the parts are going to be for your project, okay? You've got to be smart enough to know a few things. That's what I'm trying to teach you here, so that when you go to the store, you get the right parts. So that is a no.